Well, Tom, this is going to be different. What we normally have done for almost 2 years now has just Tom and I had a conversation. Every once in a while we had a guest on, but we've grown this amazing community called Project 2740, and we're doing some very unique sessions in there. And we have one called the question and answer, right, Tom?
Yes, we do, where we answer your questions.
Really what we do is we ask very hard questions and give very simple solutions. That's kind of the whole premise of what Project 2740 is. We build amazing businesses by building super focused CEOs. That's the whole premise of our community. And what we decided to do is we're going to take our podcast and give you a little behind the scenes view of what we do in our Q&A session. Now, there's many other sessions that we do, many other coaches that help us. But what we will be doing today is doing a live question and answer session with two of our CEOs. Now, for many of you who know Tom and I, CEO doesn't mean Chief Executive Officer. It means commitment, effort, and obsession. So it's people who have given that commitment, given that effort, and are obsessed about what they are doing, becoming the greatest CEO of their life and their business to build their business and their life. So we have two of our guests here today. We will introduce them, and then we will go right into answering their questions. So Carson, why don't you introduce yourself? Who are you, and what do you do?
So my name is Carson Hoffman. I run my own meta ads agency, and we help businesses grow and sell online.
Beautiful. And Chelle.
Hey everyone, I'm Michelle Shapiro, and I help people engage better on LinkedIn so that they can have more of the conversations that matter to them.
All right, so Tom, here we go. Let's get started. Who is up first, Tom?
I believe it's Carson.
All right, Carson. So what is your question? And is it for me, Tom, or either of us?
It's for either of you, and the biggest one I have is I want to get your guys' take on when is the right time and the right circumstances to cut people out of your life when it comes to your business.
Tom and I do this thing of who, right? We have this whole process of who, and we do product, process, people, prevail. And in the people, what Tom and I used to talk about when we did Project 2740 4 years ago is who do we need in our business? And more importantly, who do we need to remove from our business? So first of all, really great question. This is really more of Tom's domain. I can give you my insights to it, but Tom, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, so I always say, listen, this is a natural part of anything that happens for most people when they go through coaching. As you start to grow, you start to see the different relationships around you change, okay? And I don't want to ever look at any of this stuff in a negative way, okay? We should always be grateful for the relationships that we have, what they teach us, what they bring to us, and how they serve us. And there are points in time where relationships no longer serve a purpose anymore. It doesn't mean that that person's a bad person or it's a negative thing. It's simply what the purpose of that relationship was for you is no longer there to be served. It's been served. It's been done. And relationships, I think it's very important when you think about cutting people out of your life, which is a very abrupt and negative way to say it, right? We don't want to cut people out of our life. We want to be grateful for the people that we've experienced and recognize that it's time for us to move forward, to make space for people who are like-minded like us in that current situation. What I advise people to do is when you're looking at your environment, you have to surround yourself with people who are like-minded. And the people who are no longer in that same place, let go of them in gratitude and in love and appreciation. Because when we do those things, we bring a very positive energy to allow for new people to enter our lives for the relationship that we need. The other thing that's really important is to change your perspective on relationships. Relationships, some are only meant to last a little bit of time and some are meant to last a very long time. So what you have to recognize is that it's going to vary. So you may be friends with someone for a year. You may be friends with them for 30 days. You may know them for 30 days for just what they bring to you that creates a new awareness or a new opportunity or a new experience that you now need to learn a lesson from. Often people that come into our lives are a reflection of what we need at that moment. If the people around you are no longer reflecting what you need, that's the time when you have to let them go. Because you need to create the space for someone that you do need to come into your life, to be present in your life and enter your life.
So what did you take away from that, Carson?
Surround myself with the right people at the right time and be okay with letting go.
There you go.
That's it, man.
So I can either go more business angle or more personal angle. Are you talking about this in the domain of your personal life or your business life? What's more of the concern for you at the moment?
I think more within my personal life, but with regards to my business. So like the people I'm surrounding myself with in my personal life that could be affecting my business.
On the personal side, this is going to happen to you, and everybody listening, everybody watching, everybody here in the community as well. This is going to consistently happen to you as you grow. Every time you grow, you're going to outgrow something, someone. It happens. What you have to do in your personal relationships is imagine you're on a track, okay? So imagine you're back at school and you're on the quarter-mile track, right? It goes around the quarter mile. And imagine now you're in a race with your friends. But imagine the race isn't to finish, it's to keep running. And it doesn't matter how slow or fast all of you move, it matters that you all keep moving. And what happens to you as one of their friends who's moving really, really fast and is a super athlete in this life and business, what happens is you're going to pass them, okay? And you're going to say, see ya. But what happens on the quarter mile if you're moving really fast and they're moving really slow? What happens?
I'm just going to lap them again.
You lap them, but what happens when you lap them? They're right next to you again. When you lap them, they're right next to you. You have a moment in that moment to slow down and go at their pace with them. And say, hey man, what's up? How's the race going? Oh, race pretty good. Oh yeah? You out of breath yet? No, I'm not. You enjoying it? Yeah, sun's shining. I'm not sweating. How about you, Carson? I'm good, but hey pal, gotta go. See you on the next lap. And you have to treat it like a race.
I like that analogy.
Cool.
As a former runner, that was a great analogy. I think that was one of your best ones of all time, man.
You know how much I love my analogies, right?
I know, but that one, like, you're so right. Because you have to lap the people at some point. If you don't, they're going to hold you back from winning. They're going to hold you back from what you're trying to achieve.
But winning, for everybody, winning is the ability to continue playing the game. Okay, so as long as the race doesn't have an end and we just keep playing, it doesn't matter how fast they're moving or you're moving. Keep playing your game. That's the point. You can stop and speed up anytime you want. All right, Chelle.
You're up.
My question is business related, and it's for both of you. It has to do with like taking an existing client that I have. Currently, she books one-off sessions, one-on-one sessions with me every so often. And she's done this for months. Whenever she feels like she wants to talk through something, she'll book another call. And she pays reoccurring fees whenever that happens. Because she's been booking so many calls, I'd like to get her into a position to upsell her to something more longer term. Not necessarily like a retainer, but like to book maybe like a package of 4 or 6 or 10 calls. That way she can just do it without having to pay every single time, and it incentivizes it for her to like reduce the rate. So my question is, like, she's also now somebody I consider a friend, and I don't know the best way to go about transitioning the sale or the resell to a higher offer.
Boy, that's really in your wheelhouse, man.
Yeah, so I have multiple positions on this, okay? So first is you said the word upsell. Do you want to upsell? Do you want to have them pay you more money? Is that because they have a frequency right now? Do you want to upsell them to pay you more money?
I would like them to pay me more money.
You would like them to pay you more money, or like them to pay you for the effort you're currently giving them and you're underpaid at the moment?
That's a tough answer because I like the pace at which we're going, but I just need more. I want more money. I want her on the books more as a recurring client that I can keep helping without it being so inconsistent.
Okay, but is it more money or more often that's known ahead of time?
I don't understand the question.
Okay, so let's say they were paying you $1 per session, right? And you were doing, on average this year, they booked 4 sessions randomly. Are you looking to do each session for $2 now? Or do you want to do 1 session and instead of doing 4 randomly, do 6 on a schedule or an ability to reserve at any time they want?
6, but more on a recurring schedule within a certain time frame.
At the same $1 or $2?
I was actually thinking about reducing the rate for her to incentivize it.
Okay, don't do that, first of all, because they're used to paying it. Okay, good. Now I understand the question. So the question is about you making more money. It's about having more consistency and longer-term retention and understanding what you're doing with your client, okay? And then you're hoping, you said it would be easier for her, or whatever words you used. We don't use easy here, but you said it would be more useful, or whatever you said. It's not, because she would have come to you and be like, hey, can we just do this? So you can meet clients where they're at and continue to do this with them, or you can propose something. Now, here is how you will actually decide this. Is it beneficial, as you, the expert, for them to have a regular frequency with you to do these things?
Yes.
So you just answered your question, because you have to be the expert and the advisor. People are paying all of us as business owners to give them the solutions. And if you know what the right solution is, you have to tell them, here's the right solution for you. This is why you should do it. And this is how we would do it. And if they don't want to do that, you could say, well, maybe we shouldn't work together, because this is the right way for you to get the best result you're looking for. Now, I know that is scary, and I know it hurts, and it's like, especially because you have a friendship with them. But you are being paid to be the best you could be. And if you're compromising that by not giving them the solution that they need, you're doing a disservice to you and them. So when you approach this situation, you have to say, listen, I've become a pretty good resource for you, right? Yeah. So I see you're booking more frequently, right? Yeah. Okay. So in my expert opinion, the way that this should work for you is this. We should be doing these things this way because, and give them the evidence. You'll get X, Y, and Z by doing A, B, and C. And this is how that would look. Are those terms suitable for us to work together? Because otherwise, I don't think this other way is beneficial for either of us, and maybe we shouldn't work together. Now, that is scary, because maybe we shouldn't work together, right? We can't be desperate in the money that we make. We have to be experts all the time.
That's a fair point.
Yes.
I think the scary part is that she's become a friend. And so I'm like just nervous to like test the waters there. But yeah, I see the value in providing value.
Tom, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in because you're bringing up a really important point. It's really about compartmentalizing where the relationship is at a specific point in time as you work with someone, right? Many moons ago, I hired Adam as my financial advisor and planner. Then we became business partners. And there's one thing that Adam does really well is when I need him to be my financial planner and advisor, he puts that hat on for me, and I am 100% his client in that moment. When I need him to be my business partner, he puts the business partner hat on. And what I'm saying to you, Chelle, is that when you have someone that brought you into their life as the expert in their life, and now you've developed a friendship, because we develop a lot of friendships with a lot of our clients, there's a time and a place for everything. And what you have to do is you have to compartmentalize when is the time to be the LinkedIn engagement expert that you are, and when is the time to be this person's friend. And if you can separate the two and literally wear a different hat so they get the point. It's very funny. When Adam needs to advise me financially, he'll put his company logo, his t-shirt on and his hat on, and I know I'm talking to Adam, my financial planner.
I literally do that. I literally put a different hat on so he knows, hey, I ain't your partner right now, man. I am your financial advisor.
And you just have to compartmentalize it and not be afraid to ask for money for your expertise. Because in that moment, they are paying you for your expertise. They're not paying you because they're your friend. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay, so now that's great that you got an answer. What are you going to do about it?
I'm going to go talk to her tomorrow.
What are you going to say?
She actually just asked to book another session, so that would be the perfect time for me to put my LinkedIn strategist hat on and talk to her about making more progress more consistently and working together.
What you should do, because you didn't have an exact answer for me, is before that call, give yourself a certain amount of time to figure out what are your intentions and what are your expectations. Okay, you know how we talk about this all the time, intentions, expectations. But before you go into that call, what are your intentions? My intentions are to, number one, show this person how much more value they can get doing it a specific way. And then what's my expectation? My expectation is that we will agree upon certain terms that are suitable for both of us. Right? But then you have to figure out what those things are. And those are what I would say is intentions, expectations. You have to figure yours out and then strategize on what are all the variables that you'll have to be ready for. And you won't have to be like, let me get back to you. You're the advisor. You have to go in with the solution. You have to say, here's what we're going to do now. Is that suitable for you? And if they say no, you can either decide to pivot and give another offer if you have another offer, another option, another pathway. Or you could say, okay, if not, then we probably should no longer work together. Tom and I have to do that often. We've had to fire clients. And it's just like, this doesn't line up and we're no longer going to work together. Okay, it's either this way or we probably shouldn't work together. I literally today just did it. By the way, Tom, that one client of ours is now interested in moving to board meetings.
Yeah, fantastic, which is great. It's the right move for them.
Well, it's the right move because Tom recognized, hey, I think really this is not useful for her the way we're doing it anymore. She should move. She's progressed so much. We should move to these board meetings. I had a conversation with her today, explained it. And she's like, you know what? I think so too. But I didn't say, well, we could or we should or maybe or what do you think? I was just like, here's what we advise you to do. Tom pointed it out. I'm in agreement with him because of where you're at. And she's like, yeah, I think you guys are right. Let's move to that route. We're the advisor. You're the advisor.
And so you need to be able to do the same. You have to find what's in the best interest of the client. Always do what's in the best interest of the client. Sometimes that's really difficult when you're concerned about cash flow or client number or income or whatever it is. Those are all natural fears. A lot of times we hold on to a client or a customer because of fear that we're not going to be able to pay our bills this month, right? There's always that in the back of your mind. But what you have to recognize, just like I said to Carson earlier, in relationships, you've got to make the space for the right people to be in your world. And that includes the clients that you have and the clients that you bring in. If it's the right client, they're taking up the space that they need to take up. But if it's the wrong client, they're taking away a space from someone else who needs that. And if you decide to part ways, recognize that the second you decide to part ways, someone else is going to come and fill that space because of all the other work that you do to continue that pipeline of people coming into your business.
By the way, if anyone wants to join our community, it's Project 2740 on School, SKOOL. You just go to school.com/Project 2740 and you can find us, or you can go to atomicbusinesscoaching.com and you can find us there. Very simple. So Tom, I didn't see on School anywhere that anyone put any questions in, but we didn't ask them for any questions. So we don't have live studio audience questions. So because of that, Carson, we're going to give you another question. And then Chelle, we're going to give you another question too. We're going to go through this, Tom, and try to give them answers in about 2 minutes each. Keep it to about that, and then we'll wrap up the show. And then what we do is we go into our community back on Zoom with everybody, and we answer all those questions. All right, Carson, do you have another question for us?
How can I get people to, I guess, switch agencies and use me when they're already using an agency, but let's say, they're not as happy, or I know that they can do better? That's like the big one.
Yeah, so I like the fact that you already think they could do better with you, because that you have to come in with there's a reason that you're going to poach the client, because that's what this is. This is poaching clients. I've been poached as a business owner, and I've poached as a business owner. Every time I was poached, I was in agreement when that client left me that they should go. Every time. Because where they were going was better suited for them. So when I poach people, what I'm starting with is, this is why you're better suited for us. But I do not ever shit on their current provider. What I say is, look, you've been working with XYZ. I'm going to use yours for a moment. You're working with XYZ advertising agency. I've seen what you've done. Obviously, you've built a pretty substantial company. You've done a good job, right? And they're like, yeah, we've done great, da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, well, those things that got you here, I don't believe can take you where I can. And all the work you did there is not at a loss. That's going to allow us to really enhance all the work that we're going to do together. So let me explain to you the enhancements we would make, the improvements we do have, the expertise that we do bring to the table to make what you've already done even better. Okay, so you comment at it with a complimentary of the work they've done, the people that did that work, but you've outlived them. Guess what, pal? You're about to lap them. You want to go a lot faster, or you just want to stay at this pace? It's time to lap your previous person, to go back to our earlier question. But that's really what it is you're like, hey, there's nothing wrong with what you did. It's just no longer going to bring you where you want to go. And when you can prove that, okay, when you can really show that, then they would move at peace. And when they go back to their other provider, that provider, if they are really good, will understand why they're leaving, because they're not in that domain. They're not in that niche. They don't do those things. And they should be like, okay, that's what you need. Sounds like this other company is going to provide it for you. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. That's perfect. And it also just helps them get to their goals instead of keeping them in the same spot. I think that's the big part not to miss. So thank you.
All right, Chelle, what do you got?
What do you do when you see that people aren't taking action? Because you can't lead a horse to water if they don't want to drink it, right? So how do you get them to take action?
What do you think typically holds people back from taking action? Like when you don't take action, what's holding you back?
It's usually some kind of fear.
Right. And what's typically that fear?
For me, it's usually, what if this goes really right and I'm not prepared?
Right. Okay. So it's a fear of success, right? Fear of success, fear of failure, kind of the same thing, right? Either it goes really great and I got to keep this up, or it doesn't go so great and I failed and I'm a failure and I suck, right? That's basically it. But what's the worst that can happen, Chelle?
You just keep going.
And what would be the worst thing that could happen from if you keep going?
Then you make another mistake and then you do it again, or you iterate and you just keep going.
The thing that holds people back is that they are afraid to take the action because they're afraid of what can potentially happen, whether good or bad in their eyes. But the key is to let them identify that what is really the worst thing that could happen. Is that, I make another mistake, or, I have more success. And if I make a mistake, I'm going to learn and iterate, just like you said, and you keep moving forward. You have to help them get unstuck. And they're usually stuck because they're afraid to do something that they know they need to do. And once you can get at what would motivate them, right? What would get them to just keep moving, you'll be able to get them unstuck, okay? But it really comes down to identifying the fear, mitigating what that fear is for them, and then help them to move along with confidence that they just have to keep going. And if they keep going, they'll figure it out when they get to the next bump in the road. That's it. It's very simple.
I look at a lack of action with two other emotions. It's stress or anxiety. So fear is definitely there, but that fear usually culminates into stress or came from stress, or culminates into anxiety or came from anxiety. And what I've learned over many years of doing things is that what stress and anxiety really are is very, very simple. And once any of you who are listening to this, you included obviously, Chelle, can understand this thing, then you can use what I'm about to give you to go ahead and deal with it and start taking action. So stress, okay, typically comes, and it also works as sadness, so stress or sadness, that typically comes from a lack of options. I don't know what my options are. Like, well, I don't even know what I could do. Like, I don't know. And anxiety comes from too many options. I don't know which one to choose. Should I go to this route? Should I go to that route? Should I go to this route? Should I go to this one? Like, I don't know what to do. So when you're stressed or sad, and when you have anxiety, okay, you need to use that information. So I'm stressed, I'm sad, I'm lacking options. So what do I need to do? Go figure out what my options are. And that's knowledge, right? Okay, what are my actual options? I could do this, I could do that, I could do this. Okay, all of a sudden that stress goes away. Now you have three options. And you're like, oh my God, which one do I choose? Now you have anxiety. So the reason that people have this anxiety is because they have too many options. And then at that point, what you have to do is just take your best educated guess in picking the one to move forward with. Okay, and it's like, okay, I'm going to commit to one of these three options and go and see what happens from it. And that's where the fear comes in, is that I'm fearful that if I pick this option, it might not go according to plan. But what you're doing is stepping back and saying, I'm picking this option and we're going to see what happens from it. There doesn't need to be a fear about it. There just needs to be an answer. And the answer won't be known until we pick the option and take that course of action. Okay, so that's typically what I see with people, is there's this sadness and stress, or there's this anxiety, and it all is based on options, and options all are based on information. Okay, with one, you don't know your options, you have to go get them. And with the other, you don't know the results, so you have to try it in order to find out what the answer is. I like very systematic approaches to things, so that's how I look at it.
Options. It's a great answer. Thank you.
All right, well, we appreciate the two of you being on here. We really admired both of your stick-to-itiveness through the program. We've watched both of you really thrive throughout it. Let me ask you both a question. What would you say has been the best part of Project 2740 for you, Carson?
Honestly, kind of going off my question today, just being around people who are, more like-minded, and then also having access to people like both of you who have knowledge in, the business and personal side to help me get to where I want to go. I've seen a lot of growth in my business and my personal life, and as well as a lot more clarity. So that's been my favorite part.
Nice, pal. Yeah, you're really doing a great job. All right, and Chelle, what would you say has been the best part of the experience for you so far?
For me, it's a few different things. I really love surrounding myself with more people who are actively trying to do the thing better. I always want to surround myself with people who want to grow, even if we're doing it in different ways, in different times, and on different things. And then the other part is that I really like that you ask me the hard questions, or rather, like, you make the hard questions simple enough for me to navigate through, and you call me out on my shit.
That's awesome.
Which I'm here for. Like, sometimes it sucks to hear, but at the end of the day, like, I need that tough love. Like, I'm not as, I'm sensitive to things, but like, I'm not as fragile. I'm not going to break. And like, sometimes I really just need somebody to sit me down and be like, why aren't you doing the thing? Like, go do, you keep saying you want to do this thing, but you're not actually doing the thing. Like, what are you waiting for? And so I just need that tough love sometimes. And I love that both of you provide that.
For those of you who don't know, Chelle is what we call a player coach. If you're a sports person, you know what a player coach is. Chelle is a player coach. So she's playing the game of Project 2740 with us, but we've also admired how great she is at what she actually does with being a LinkedIn cheerleader, with helping people to really thrive on their engagement and utilize and maximize the opportunity that we all have on social media, that we've brought Chelle in to coach our clients, our members inside of here to get better at that as well. So Chelle, we want to thank you for all you've done for this community in addition to playing the game.
Thank you. I love playing it with you.
Awesome.
All right, so I hope everybody who is listening enjoyed the pivot Tom and I are making with the podcast. Give us a comment, send us a message. You know, you can find me at Adam Thomas on LinkedIn. You can always go to Atomic Business Coaching. Plenty of ways to find Tom and I out there in the world. Let us know what you thought about this, if it is something you'd want to hear, maybe what topics you'd have. And we are going to bring some outsiders into this as well. So if you're interested in that, send me a DM on LinkedIn and let me know you're interested in being in this as well. Tom, anything? Otherwise, we're going to wrap up.
No, this was fun, brother. This was definitely, I like this, and I really appreciate you guys doing this with us tonight. I think it was a lot of fun, and I hope our listeners get something out of this, and thank you for sharing your experiences and being vulnerable.
See you next time.